We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on drag racing. Thanks for stopping by our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Two of the hottest drivers in fuel, and not coincidentally, the most recent winners in Top Fuel and Funny Car join us today. Steve Torrence and Ron Capps stop by to talk wins at Route 66 and competing next in Colorado. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is The Straight Line on drag racing at mrn.com. Along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert, I am Marty Hough, coming off the NHRA Route 66 Nationals in Joliet, Illinois, and we'll be talking with Ron Capps and Steve Torrence in just a moment. But first, the Pro Stock division, maybe the surprise of the year so far, Doug. 8 different winners this year. Last year, complete dominance by the KB Racing team. I mean, just basically stunk up the show. Yeah. And now Drew Skillman gets a win. The 8th different winner so far. 13 different events. It's really been putting on a good show.
You know, a lot of different winners. That is good. You know, Greg Anderson still with low ET, Bo Butner with top speed. So KB Racing, performance-wise, is still you know, up to the top. But yeah, some different winners. That keeps things exciting. And obviously, the NHRA, I don't know if they've actually formally announced, but they're probably going to trim back the schedule.
Correct.
Maybe not as much as the motorcycles, but they're going to trim the Pro Stock schedule back a little bit next year, which, you know, probably a little bit of a bummer for some of the huge Pro Stock fans, but more Pro Modified racing. So, you know, I think it'll be okay. But anyways, yeah, Pro Stock, great thing this year. And then Pro Stock motorcycle, Ellie Tonglet winning over Hector Arana Jr. Ellie Tonglet having low ET, Hector Arana Jr. having top speed. So, you know, two of the best bikes got to the final round. That's pretty good too. Yeah,
and for right now, the Pro Stock divisions, some of the most competitive that we have seen in quite some time. Ellie Tonglet getting some help from Jerry Savoie and those guys over there, and
he's won a bunch of races. He's won most of the races we've had this year.
Well, between Ellie and Jerry, it's been quite a few of them. But the Harleys are still right there. The Harleys have debuted a new bike. And right now they're kind of finicky, and arrow-wise they're kind of all over the place. So they're kind of like darts without feathers, so to speak. But I would just imagine by the time we get to Indianapolis, I bet they have those things tuned in, you know, fairly well. They do this pretty good.
Well, Vance and Hines knows a little bit about what they're doing racing those bikes, so it seems like they always get it together about Indy time. Yeah. And then they're going to be tough the rest of the year. Of course, Jerry Savoie last year, pulling off the championship with you know, had the electronic fuel injection, maybe figured out a little bit better than the other guys, but he got it done. I think Vance and Hines they don't want to not win that again this year, so they're going to be trying extra hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so those are going to be two storylines that we're going to be following quite a bit, because when it comes right down to it, you have 8 different winners in Pro Stock. I mean, just about anybody right now in the top half of the field, I would say you probably put 10 names in a hat right now in Pro Stock, and you can probably pull out a winner and not be surprised at any one of them. Yeah. Right now, Alan Johnson hasn't won, and you know, that's a bit of a surprise. And but we're going to Denver, so you know
he's Mr. Denver, so Denver might be the place where he can pull some out. It seems like he always does. Denver is just his place.
Yeah, and he puts a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy in winning that, and so we'll see in a couple weeks what happens heading into the Mile High Nationals. But Pro Stock is going to be divisions that we will watch way into the 2017 season. On the phone with us is Ron Capps, and we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will talk with the 2016 Funny Car champion. Ron Capps will join us next.
O'Reilly. If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motor Racing Network has always been your source for motorsports coverage when you couldn't be at the track. Now, never miss another minute of our breathtaking coverage with the MRN app, available on your iPhone or Android device. This free app delivers all the latest news, locates nearby MRN stations, streams your favorite programs, and is your home for live cup practice and qualifying action. Search MRN in the App Store or on Google Play. It's the Motor Racing Network at your fingertips, and it's available for free right now.
It's almost the most refreshing time of the day. Busch O'Clock. Time for relaxing and unwinding with friends and family over a crisp, cold Busch beer. Busch's roots are in racing, but whether you're enjoying the race or going fishing, nothing is better when it's time to relax with a crisp, cold Busch. It's Busch O'Clock, so grab a six-pack of Busch beer for the cooler, start the grill, and relax. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Busch Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
A bittersweet weekend for everybody in the National Hot Rod Association, and especially Don Schumacher Racing, with the passing of Terry Chandler, who was the funder of the Make-A-Wish and Infinite Hero cars for Don Schumacher Racing, and everybody was racing with heavy hearts this weekend. And on the guest line with us right now is the winner of the Funny Car division for Don Schumacher Racing and the 2016 Funny Car champion, driver of the Napa Dodge, Ron Capps joins us. And Ron, kind of a bittersweet win for you. I mean, you said it in the post race that you wouldn't have been real sad if Tommy won, but you went out and got the job done for you and your guys. All right, we've lost Ron, so we'll get back with him. But Doug, a real touching tribute to Terry Chandler before the race started. All the Don Schumacher teams were lined up, and they had a video tribute, and it was really kind of a nice thing to see for Terry Chandler, who's done so much for the sport.
Well, yeah, the sport, and particularly the Schumacher's teams with Make-A-Wish and the Wounded.
For Infinite Hero.
Infinite Hero
Yeah.
Foundation. So yeah, she's definitely been a big part of of fuel drag racing here for the past few years. So really ashamed that to have lost her. But we're happy to have Ron Capps back on the phone now, the winner over here in Chicago. And we just gave you a really good intro, Ron, and you missed it. We lost you.
Yeah. Man, can you do it again?
No, that only happens once. But you did say post race that it was a very bittersweet win for you guys. Obviously, with the passing of Terry Chandler, it wasn't easy for anybody, but you went out and got the job done for you and your guys.
Yeah, she would have been happy, believe me. Every time we've raced that car or Beckman's and we beat them, she's the first one to come over, and she always comes over and joins us in the winner's circle. So, she understands. And trust me, I've had some fans jump on our fan pages, and it's crazy because some of them are, we should have just idled down the track. And I thought, are you kidding me? If she was standing there, she'd be so upset if we did that. So, and the fans would have been. So it was just a good heads-up race. And I didn't see Tommy, and I didn't realize what had happened during the run. I was trying to get him to come over to the interview, and that was a tough situation for him with, that was her main car. So it was tough. It was bittersweet.
Capps, your 6th win of the year. I mean, that thing, your Tobler-led team is really getting the job done with the car. Obviously, you're doing what you need to do behind the wheel, but man, it's somebody pulls up there to race you, and they better have their act together. They know they're going to get put to the trailer.
Yeah, it's crazy. Doug, we just shake our head. I mean, I got back to the winner's circle after doing all the media stuff, and the first time I saw Tobler, and we hugged each other and just shook our heads. We didn't even have to say anything. It's like unbelievable. We're kind of not in shock, but we're in awe as well, because the competition's crazy. Every time I talk to you guys, I've said the same thing. funny car is as tough as it's ever been in the history of the sport. And for us to do what we're doing right now, it's nuts, because we know there's a handful, if not more, of teams that can instantly go on a race streak like ours. And they might do it coming up. I mean, who knows? We just know we need to keep doing what we're doing and learning along the way, because we're going to need this in the countdown. And as you know, we've had situations in the past where somebody had an unbelievable regular season and then couldn't get it together in the countdown when it counted. And we were lucky enough to do that last year, but we just have to keep it up. So trust me, it is not easy. And even though they look, my crew guys make it look like it's easy, for me, it's not.
Alan Reinhart has said on the PA on quite a few occasions, and I think he's emphasizing it more, and I couldn't agree with him more as well, is that you guys have no interest in winning qualifying. What you do on Friday and Saturday is all a setup for Sunday. A good example is this weekend. You were the 9th qualifier on the bottom half of the bracket, and then all of a sudden come up winners. What are you guys talking about on Fridays and Saturdays that are helping you on Sundays?
Well, he's partially right, but trust me, that is not on purpose. I'll tell you, what we were talking about? We were talking about how I couldn't keep the car in the groove on Friday night's run, and same thing Saturday when the conditions cooled off. That was my fault we didn't qualify better. But it was a tough weekend for that track, for top fuel guys and girls, as well as funny cars. So when top fuel cars are moving around like they were, it's tough.
Yeah.
So it was my fault we didn't qualify where we were. I had to abort a couple runs, and I just let the car get ahead of me. And that tells you how tough it was. So I didn't have a whole lot of confidence going into Sunday morning, although Tolbert gives me a lot. We didn't have lane choice. We had a tough car, number 8 against number 9. So it wasn't like we try to just take it easy in qualifying. We'd love to go up and get every point and qualify number 1. We just know when we, come Sunday is when it really counts. And you have to kind of put it behind you. And that's what he told me. He said, don't worry about it. We're going to have a good car. Just keep doing what you're doing. And they did some aerodynamic stuff to help with the front end, and it worked on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, in first round, you're talking about Johnny Lindbergh in Jim Head's car, and Jim Campbell in Big Jim Dunn's car. For the most part, they've had struggling seasons, but both of those cars ran really well. If you're not on your game, you're going to get put on the trailer. A 407, a 321 for Lindbergh, and Jim Campbell ran a 432. If you're not, if you guys aren't on it, you guys are going home first or second round.
Yeah, and I was fighting to keep it in the center of the groove as well Sunday. I had a pretty good crosswind. So it was a tough day of driving, but, you can't discount those guys. Obviously, they qualified. Lindbergh did. He qualified better than we did.
Right.
But you got to look at Big Jim's car. I did an interview this morning. They said, well, they upset Robert Hyatt. And I was like, hey, they went 408 next to Robert Hyatt. And, yeah, Robert had a hole out to hit, and he smoked him at the hit, and he was out of the race. But that Jim Dunn car went 408.
Yeah.
So we knew we had our work cut out for a second round. And that's when you start looking ahead of cars like that you'll get in trouble. So that's part of the big picture that Ron Tober brings to me and to help me race and concentrate on what's at hand. And you're right, man, especially tracks like that where it's tricky. You've got to really be careful, because the higher horsepowered cars, you can get in trouble a little bit worse.
Hey, Ron, last time we talked to you, you tied Don the Snake Perdome in overall wins, and now you're past him. Did Perdome call you to congratulate you?
It's crazy. I just got a text this morning from him, so I don't know where in the country he is. But listen to this. So Bristol, we won Father's Day weekend, and Doug, thank you for the text, by the way. I appreciate that. You were one of the first to congratulate me. The crazy part is I got a text from Snake that says he was over at the 24-hour Le Mans in France.
Wow.
And he somehow got news that I had won and sent me a text from there, which I thought was pretty out of sight. And,
that's cool.
So it's funny you say it. About an hour ago, I got a text from Snake saying nice with 3 exclamation points, and then his little snake sign.
Yeah.
He has his little emoji.
Nice.
So that was cool.
That's really cool. I'm glad that he did that too. On Sunday, as Marty was saying, you guys were kind of going down the track, but you got it done when, the pressure was on in the final, and, your reaction time, you were up on the wheel, the car ran down the track, you had low ET of that round, which was really the most important one.
Well, right.
And it's like Tober, I think he always does that over the years looking back. He gets better on race day, just every time he goes down the track, he does something.
Well, it's fun. You know, my closet or my locker is up there with the crew chief. So I've told you before, I get to listen to what their plans and how they approach each run. And I know enough about how these race cars work that I know what to expect. So it's fun to have a plan and go up there and execute it and all that good stuff. But, you know, we went on that streak of 4 races and won Bristol. And I heard a few drivers and some crew guys talking about a lucky horseshoe that we had. And it kind of pissed me off a little bit towards my crew guys because, you know, I don't care. But the fact that somebody says, hey, those might have been lucky wins, that motivated me just a little bit more. I take offense to that. And you look back, and none of those were given to us. In fact, a lot of those ladders I talk about on Sunday mornings, it's a who's who of some of the best cars in the class that we have to beat. And so, you know, that sure motivates me to certain drivers that I hear make those comments. And we're friends off the track, but when you make comments like that, I take offense to my crew guys.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I've had people say stuff like that to me before, too. And I've heard something really neat. A.J. Foyt said once, he said, son, you know, check the record book. I'm the one that won. And you know what? At the end of the day, the one that wins is really all that matters. It doesn't matter how the other guys, everybody gets lucky once in a while. It doesn't matter. You win in the final, and at the end of the day, you're the winner. Yeah, it's
you can call it luck, but in drag racing, you messed up a little better than they messed up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, we had a cylinder out second round, and we happened to win the race. Well, that's just, it is what it is. It might have been lucky, but the way I look at it, maybe they put 2 cylinders out and they smoked the tires, so they made a little bit worse decision than we did for whatever reason.
Right, exactly.
186 points on his next nearest competitor, and that would be his teammate Matt Hagan, and headed into Bandimere here in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be one tough row to hoe on the Western Swing for the rest of the funny car competitors. Ron Capps, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on your win at Joliet, and good luck coming up on the Western Swing.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Ron.
Driver of the Napa Dodge, that is Ron Capps, and when we return, driver of the Capco Fuel Funny Car and
Fuel Dragster.
Fuel Funny Car. We just got done talking about funny cars. Fuel Dragster. Steve Torrence will join us next.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm Steve Letarte, STP Auto Expert and former crew chief. I know what it takes to keep engines performing at their best. STP's latest breakthrough additive, STP Ultra 5-in-1 plus Fuel System Cleaner plus Fuel Stabilizer, delivers 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus premium gasoline and helps keep fuel fresh during storage. For over 60 years, STP has been on the cutting edge developing products to help engines run better, longer.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents compared to 20 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
If you have a question or comment about NASCAR, Motor Racing Network has a direct line for you. It's the Fan Forum Hotline.
I'm a newbie to this sport just this year, and I wanted to know.
I was wondering when they measure the length of a racetrack.
Call in at 844-4-ASK-MRN. That's 844-4-ASK-MRN.
Wanted to send out a big shout out. Thanks for covering the race.
The Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to NASCAR.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Doug and Marty.
Big thanks to Ron Capps for joining us on The Straight Line today. And joining us right now on the guest line is the driver of the Capco Contractors Top Fuel Dragster and winner at Route 66 Raceway this past weekend. Steve Torrence joins us. Congratulations on the win, Steve.
Thanks, guys, man. It's good to be back on with you.
Man, 5 wins in a year, dude. It's like whatever you guys are doing over there is just, it's happening. I mean, it's happening with you driving the car. It's happening with Hogan and Lagana Jr. and AJ, everybody over there. I mean, that car is the car to beat, man. You've won more races than anybody this year, so obviously, right?
I tell you what, I've said it all year. I think it just comes down to the fact that we got better ingredients.
Yep.
A little poke.
Oh, yeah. Well, you qualified. You guys qualified fourth and went into race day, and and ran pretty well. But you didn't have low ET until it really counted in the final. But man, you guys, you just keep getting it done.
Bobby Lagana and Richard Hogan have done an unbelievable job. We've heck, AJ's over there tuning Brittany's car, and we've shared some data with them for a little bit, and now, we're completely just two separate race teams, and so it really just goes to show how well that Richard Hogan has done and come into his own, and I'm really proud of him. So I kind of want to throw that out there that he's been doing all this on his own, and it's very impressive. It's very gratifying to be a family-run race team and to have the success that we're doing. I mean, we've won and had more success this season than any year in the past, and I think it's just everybody on the team has stepped up and done their job. You think I missed the tree in the final round against Antron, I don't win. I missed the tree last week against Doug, and you don't get the whole shot win. So everybody's stepped their game up.
Steve, you mentioned having a bit of a technical alliance with the Force crew and the Monster crew, and with that connection with AJ, and as you mentioned, that information has kind of stopped. Who made that decision to not really do that and have two just separate teams?
Well, we still work together collectively, but AJ's not a consultant with us anymore. I mean, it's, we did that last year and we haven't done that this year. We've worked together and shared information, but he's not, he has no really input on what's going on with Richard's decisions. And, Richard Hogan's been out here for a long time, and I just want to give him the respect and the gratitude that he deserves for what he's done, because he's done this on his own, and I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, well, and Richard's I've known him for a long time, and he's a nice guy. He's just a good guy, so easy to figure out how you can get along well with him and go out there and race. He's never been my crew chief, but I think he'd be somebody that I would enjoy working with. He's a good guy.
He really is, and the biggest key to Richard Hogan this year has been his personal confidence. He's a different guy, you've been around him long enough, Doug, to know that he's pretty quiet. He's pretty reserved. He sticks to himself, and he hides out in Montana all the time. This year he's come into his own. He's very confident in what he does. He makes just wholesale changes between rounds. We go up there and make changes that you wouldn't even think about in the bell housing, and he goes and does them, and is confident in the decision he made, and it goes out there and it runs good enough to win the race. So I'm really proud of that guy. I'm proud of every one of those guys on that team, because they're the reason that we have the success that we're having, and that race car is just the baddest one on the block right now. 5
wins in 8 races, and you've got things going on, but the last guy you wanted to see in the final is the guy that's got your number in Antron Brown, a good friend of yours and a guy that you got the best of back in Englishtown. But I'm sure in the back of your mind you're going, oh man, Antron's been beating me like a rented mule. So what were your thoughts going into the final?
Man, I'll tell you what, I said this the other day, the first probably of the 20 whatever it is that he's beat me, I didn't have a real good car for the first half of those, and then the other half was probably more mental than anything, that you go up there, just like what you said, you go up there and you're like, man, I got to race Antron. I got to do this to beat him. I got to do this to beat him. I need to be on the tree and either have a bad light or a good light. But instead of just going up there and doing the best you can, you're trying hard to do better than somebody. And I finally got that out of my head, and I go up there and I race my race. I know that I can leave with him or do what or close to him on the tree. And right now all the pressure's off me. I've got the best race car in the series right now, and all I got to do is drive it the best that I possibly can, and that's been a huge confidence booster for me as a driver, is just knowing that I showed up to the bar with the biggest guys in the place, and I can talk a little trash.
You're a sportsman guy at heart. Run some. Your old man still runs some Super Comp races and some Lucas Oil stuff. And you won a sportsman title back in the day. 5 thousandths of a second, probably in the sportsman level, isn't that big of a deal. But 5 thousandths of a second, in the final in a Top Fuel car, that is squeaking it out, dude.
No, let me tell you. I mean, Doug, you've been in one of these things. You can hear that car beside you the whole way to the end, and you're not for sure if you're ahead, if you're behind. You don't know it, because if you can see them, you're for sure behind. And if you're ahead, you can hear them. It's going to be too close to call. So, I mean, that 3.77 seconds took at least 15 or 20 seconds to happen. From the time I hit the throttle to the time we crossed the finish line, there was so many thoughts and so many just different emotions that go through your head. You're like, okay, don't smoke the tires, don't do this, don't turn the wheel, drive it straight, stay ahead. Am I ahead? Is he behind? I mean, where are we? And then you cross that finish line, you throw the chute, and you start looking for that little light on the side of that wall. And that light's like a little angel. It either comes up on your shoulder or somebody else's.
Yeah, well, you got it done going in there. Congratulations on your win at Chicago. Good job. Are we going to see your dad back out there and with your second Top Fuel car anytime soon? Maybe at Indy?
Yeah, we're going to bring him back out. We're shooting for end of the season, somewhere in the countdown. And Dad always loves to race. I talked to him all weekend long. He was here working on his Super Comp car and his Top Dragster and stuff. So we'll get him back out, get him in the hot rod. He does really good when we get him in there. Need to get him a couple laps and testing. And hopefully he can come out and block for us.
And with a 101-point lead right now, he's looking good to the countdown. And when we do that at Indianapolis. Steve Torrence, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win at Chicago, and good luck with the Western Swing coming up.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it, and I hope to be on again soon.
Steve Torrence, driver of the Capco Contractors Top Fuel Dragster and winner this weekend. When we return, we will wrap up another great edition of the show.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On September 9th, when the sun goes down and the lights come up, racing excitement under the Richmond night sky will be at its most electrifying. Don't miss the chaos of a final race of the 2017 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series season at Richmond International Raceway. It's the Federated Auto Parts 400, where the first ever Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series regular season champion will be crowned. Buy your tickets at RIR.com. Richmond International Raceway, where chaos at every corner makes for a night that never ends.
It's almost Busch o'clock. A time for relaxing and unwinding with a crisp, cold Busch beer. It's the most refreshing time of the day. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Busch. Crisp, cold Busch. Enjoy responsibly. Busch Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to Ron Capps and Steve Torrence for joining us on The Straight Line. Both of those guys are quick to give credit to their crew, guys, either Ron Tobler or Richard Hogan and everybody that works on those crews.
Well, that was interesting to hear, actually, from Torrence, because you and I were talking during the break as well. I wonder how much AJ's helping him. So he pretty much laid that to rest.
Yeah.
Richard Hogan's running that car and tuning that car. So I was happy to hear that, because I have known Richard a long time. He's doing a great job.
Yeah,
he's just doing a great job.
No question about that. He and Bobby Lagana are really kind of a two-headed monster there as far as the tuning is concerned on the Capco car. And coming up, the next race is probably the one race that the crew and the crew chief makes the most difference, and that's Bandimere in Denver. When you're almost a mile high, it's really hard to get those fuel motors to do what you want them to do.
It's just a hard place to run over there. It seems like everywhere where Jimmy Proc's been the last 20 years or so, they do pretty well there in nitro categories. But Tobler, he's obviously one of the best up there as well. So, but Coletta guys, Connie won't go to Denver. He doesn't, he says, no, I'm not going to Denver. He doesn't like Denver. He's got some, he's worried about Joe Paisano died there a long time ago. I'm not going to Denver. It's bad luck over there. But at any rate, the Coletta cars always seem to run pretty well there as well. So at any rate, I'm sure it's going to be a great race coming up in Denver. For any of the fans that have not been to that Denver track, it is a cool track. It carved out the side of a mountain. Very similar probably to Bristol, I suppose, like that. But it's a great track. The Vandermeer family does a great job of making it a very fan-friendly place. So if that's one of your ones, that'd probably be a cool one on the bucket list to go visit.
Yep, I would highly recommend it. It kind of carved out of the side of a mountain up there, and all that noise just bounces off that mountain and back to you. It's kind of like Bristol, like you were talking about. That it's very, very scenic up there, and so we will be talking about Vandermeer next week as we head into the Mile High Nationals, our next stop on the NHRA Tour. Thanks to everybody for joining us here on The Straight Line. So for Doug, I am Marty. We will talk to you next week right here on MRN.com and The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MRN.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.